world a better place. That's the story of Rosa Parks, and to show how brave she was, just go back a few months, the atmosphere of the time, the summer of 1955, Emmett Till, the 14-year-old African-American boy from Chicago. His mother, Mamie, sends him for a couple of weeks to Money, Mississippi, to get out of the city for the summer, to be with his aunt and uncle and his cousins. And he's asleep at night, a white mob pulls him out of bed, and they say he wolf whistled at a white woman. And they beat him, and he ends up in the bottom of the Tallahatchie River. When his body was dredged up and sent back by train in a casket to Chicago, Mamie Till, his mother, was incredibly courageous. She said that she wanted the casket open for the wake and the funeral. She wanted the world to see the ravages of racism, the brutality of bigotry. Thousands of people streamed by his casket and saw it. And then Jet Magazine and other black publications took photographs of his distended, mutilated head, and they were actually published. And they were seared into the history and consciousness of this country. Mamie Till had something very important to teach the press of today. Show the pictures. Show the images. Could you imagine for just 1 week if we saw the images of war in this country? Yeah. If on every, if above the fold of every surviving newspaper, photograph and story for just 1 week of a baby dead on the ground in Afghanistan or killed by a drone attack in Yemen, if on everyone's Facebook wall, if every tweet involved a story of a soldier dead or dying, if every radio and TV newscast, the top story was about a woman whose legs were blown off by a cluster bomb, for just 1 week, Americans are a compassionate people. They would say, no, war is not the answer to conflict in the 21st century. Now, Dennis and I wrote about it in The Silenced Majority. In that week before Mubarak fell in Egypt, we were covering what was happening there, and Sharif was on the ground there. And we learned that a young blogger named Kareem Amr had disappeared. He had been in prison for years, but he was let out, and he was a Tahrir like so many others. And then he disappeared. He was leaving the square one night, and no one saw him again. So it was day after day, and so Dennis and I was texting Sharif, and I was saying, what happened with Kareem? And so Dennis went to Kareem's blog, and on the top of it, it said, dedicated to Hans and Sophie Scholl. And Hans and Sophie Scholl were the brother and sister in World War II Germany, who together with their professor and other students and workers organized the White Rose Collective, which was a collective. They were German Christians, they weren't Jewish, but they thought, what could they do in the face of the Nazi atrocity? And so they decided to print a series of pamphlets to get word out so that the Germans would never be able to say they didn't know. And they knew this was very dangerous. On the fourth pamphlet were written the words, "We will not be silent." Hans and Sophie, this brother and sister in World War II, they would get these pamphlets delivered all through Germany, dropped in a marketplace in the middle of the night, or just thrown into a courtyard somewhere, or into a schoolyard. Ultimately, they were captured by the Nazis. They were charged, they were tried, they were convicted, and they were beheaded. But that philosophy, that motto, should be the Hippocratic oath of the media today, should be the Hippocratic oath of us all today. We will not be silent. Democracy Now!
Folks, before you leave, please consider that we have something very special and yet something very fragile that we need to support here. That is Maine, the internet provider, and the radio station that's about to go on air and be able to reach into Henderson County, into Madison County. Think of what we can do with that. Please look at those donation pledge cards and make another donation. $10 is great, but if you can do more, we desperately need it. And if you can't give that, think about volunteering. There's a volunteer sign-up sheet. Please, folks, support this incredible combination of institutions we have here, which so few places have in this country. We have it here. It must thrive. We can do it. Please consider that.